But possibly it did.
So both fighters are cut on the left eye. Danny Romero is also bleeding from the nose. Ratanakai got off to a very slow start in the fight, has been coming on from round to round. And in this round, Romero made a very questionable tactical decision to go inside and bang chest to chest.
And Vorapin was able to just step back and just wait for him, and as soon as he comes in, get him. Don't reach for anything, just slide back in position, and he connects.
An increasingly confident Vorapin targeting the left hand up the middle.
You never follow a guy around with excellent balance and a good punch. Never.
Romero looked so good in round one. Where did it go?
If the Red Cross still needs blood, this is a place to be.
Let's give you some program reminders, boxing fans. Next Saturday, HBO's Boxing After Dark returns with rising star Julio Diaz facing colorful veteran Angel Manfredi. November 10, 130-pound champion Floyd Mayweather Jr. coming off of injured hands in his last fight and dental surgery, wisdom teeth, faces top challenger Jesus Chavez. Also 122-pound champ Manny Pacquiao takes on Agapito Sanchez. Look out, Agapito. And November 17, HBO pay-per-view will bring you the rematch of Hasim Rahman's upset heavyweight championship knockout over Lennox Lewis. Can The Rock hold on to the title? Buy the fight and find out.
How's your ride, Danny? Huh? How's your ride feeling? Good?
Oh, excellent. All right, you gotta get up. Second job. That's it. Well,
Romero's cut looks really nasty.
okay, time. Corner, time. Go to corner. Go to corner. Go to corner. You, corner. Okay, time in.
Santiago waiting for the ring to be cleared. CompuBox numbers in round 5. Ratanakai Vorapin, who threw fewer than 20 punches in round 1, threw 91 punches in round 5 and landed 38 of them. That compares to 26 of 51 for Romero. And you can see that the fight gets closer on Harold Letterman's scorecard. We're past the 5th round, so if the fight is stopped because of either of the cuts, we'll go to the scorecards and determine a winner.
Well, is that, I'm curious. I didn't see Santiago rule that cut was as a result of a headbutt. If that cut is the result of a punch and Romero couldn't go on, then and he can't fight, then he would lose the fight if he can't complete the fight.
Good point. I'm off base here in saying either cut because I think you're right. I don't know that Santiago made such a rule.
Harold Letterman, did you hear the Santiago rule on that?
Oh yeah, Jim. Larry, I asked him. I made sure I got a hold of referee Pete Santiago at the end of the 5th round. Asked him about Danny Romero's cut, and he ruled that it was caused by a headbutt.
Oh, so therefore it would go to the scorecard.
Go to the scorecards either way.
Gotcha.
All right, we'll try to scare up some pictures of that from the last round.
Vorapin is making certain that he doesn't step forward at all. It's making this guy come to him, Romero. And I don't know why his corner's allowing him to do that. He can't win because this guy is shorter. He's got better balance.
Come on. Box.
Vorapin is just using him as a sitting duck.
So Danny's corner should change him, should tell him to do something entirely different than he's doing.
Go back to jabbing and moving from side to side. Move side to side.
Wait.
Now Santiago is asking a ring physician to look at Romero's eye.
You can see right out of the way? Let him go a little more.
No, let it go. Let it go.
Go.
Go to corner. Go to corner. Go to corner. Go to corner. Come on, babe. Listen to me, babe. All right? Box.
Once again, he walks straight into a punch. You don't do it. Vorapin is doing an excellent job now of boxing. Get your feet in position and wait. He'll come. That's what they do in those bullfights. They just sit there and wait for the bull to come.
And the bull just never learns.
I didn't know they had any bulls in Thailand.
That's what Vorapin is doing, is just sitting and waiting for the guy to charge in.
And sometimes Danny comes in and gets off first, lands a straight right, as he did in that exchange. Then Vorapin just shuffles to the side and waits for him to come at him again. Throughout the 5th round, it was all Vorapin in those exchanges. Romero fared just a little bit better in the 6th.
Come on, guys, watch the ice. Watch the ice, guys. Watch the ice. Get that mouthpiece. Check his eye, baby.
Take a look. You have to let him put pressure on it first.
Watch the ice. Clean the ice out, baby.
Pumping that down, man.
No, not yet. It's getting there, not yet though. Come up.
Was that a headbutt? You called that a headbutt?
Headbutt.
I'm cool. I can
Take
see.
a look at it. Let go.
I can see. I can see.
All right, this is the 5th round, and watch whether it was a punch or a headbutt. There was no headbutt in there. That might have been the punch that did it. That wasn't.
All right, time.
I think it's more likely that the cut was caused by a punch
Clean the
than a
ice, guys.
headbutt.
Clean the ice.
But inconclusive so far.
Romero can only get back to his original tactic. Jab, moving, staying on the right, using your jab. Punch when this guy comes to you.
Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim, I got a 3 rounds apiece, 57-57. I thought that Vorapin did enough in rounds 5 and 6. You know, he caught Danny Romero with the right jab and it's straight left every time Danny Romero would rush in. So I thought he evened up the fight in round 5 and 6. Interestingly enough, in the 5th round, it appeared to me that Danny Romero turned to referee Pete Santiago to indicate that he got headbutted at the time when he started to bleed. So that's why I thought it was a headbutt.
I have it 3 rounds to 2 for Romero and 1 even.
CompuBox numbers through round 6 find Vorapin landing more, 105-98, throwing fewer, landing more power punches, landing at a higher connect percentage. So on balance, the CompuBox numbers tend to favor Vorapin at this point.
Romero is brave. He has got the heart.
Always has. Go all the way back to his amateur days. This has always been a very willing fighter.
He's a good body puncher. He's done everything right.
Except
Walking into a puncher. Got to walk around a puncher.
Come on, guys.
in the middle of the 7th round in Madison Square Garden, the crowd rises to its feet to greet a contingent of New York City firefighters who enter the arena in uniform. Everybody is standing up and nobody's watching the fight. And now as the firefighters begin to take their seats, people gradually turn their attention back to the ring. There is a look at the section of firefighters decked out in blue. You can see them there in the center of your screen. That's the group that prompted the outburst of applause and the standing ovation during the middle of the 7th round.
When the big punch was laying, no one threw in the towel. They kept fighting, didn't they? You got to give him a hand. You just got it.
I want you to box, Dave. Okay. Box, box, box. Get your rhythm. Box, box, box. No single punching. You hear me? Huh? No single punching. Box, 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 box. All right, seconds out. Go.
Time. Box.
Instructions from the corner to Romero. Box.
Round 8 of a scheduled 10.
Romero has this fire inside of him that even though he's supposed to box, he's going for it.
Watch your head, watch your head, watch your head.
Another clash of heads sends Romero walking away to the corner, blinking the left eye.
Let's go. Box.
That's the one over which he's already cut.
I tell you, there's no pain like being butt on top of a cut. That's pain.
Like a hornet sting, right?
You know, because they're working on your eye every round in the corner there, and it's tender as it is, and then a guy butts you again on the sword.
Pick the punch, you got it. Come on, pick it up, okay? Box.
That's when it's about heart.
Once again, to remind you, it's round 8 of a scheduled 10, not scheduled for 12 rounds. Vorapin backs Danny Romero off with a straight left hand out of the corner.
Romero is leading with his left hand as he goes forward. He's got to lead with his right. Got to lead with his right hand.
He's just walking into that left-hand punch of Vorapin's. I mean, Vorapin's timing has gotten better and better as the fight has gotten on. Every time Danny steps in now, he's firing the left right up the chute.
Just got to power with his right hand. It doesn't mean have to throw it hard. Just step in, power in with your right hand.
So that you can occupy Vorapin on that side.
Make him move his head one way or another. Then you can throw your big shots afterwards.
2 bloody left eyes.
You have to applaud those guys because that's something you don't train in the gym, bleeding. It only happens in the fight.
Yeah, that's right.
There's no preparation for it.
Yeah, it's not as if you stand around. Let's practice fighting for 8 rounds with blood flowing from a big cut above your eye.
And boxers aren't any different from anyone else. When we see blood, a boxer sees blood, he's like, oh my God, I'm hurt.
Box.
You think the same thoughts.
Yeah, but a normal person goes to the medicine cabinet and they can't do it until the fight's over.
Well, that's why cut men are so important. I mean, you know, it's not happening here one way or another, but we've seen cut men provide the critical difference for a winning fighter. We saw it for Arturo Gatti back in the portion of his career when he was winning. Several times his great cut man Joe Souza would preserve his chance to stay in the fight. And there's a look at Ricardo Lopez, the artiste. Longtime 105-pound world champion, now fighting one class up at 108 pounds. He'll be fighting a South African opponent named Zolani Patelo in the next fight on the card. And then beyond that, the main event, Felix Trinidad against Bernard Hopkins. A study in left eye's bleeding. Vorapin makes it tough on his cut man. He's moving all the time, George.
Clean the ring.
Cut men like a fighter who will sit still.
Sit still, let him, allow him to do his job.
Joe Souza, the cut man you mentioned earlier, Jim, once told me he loves blood.
Time in.
That's his mission in life.
Sousa's the name and blood is my game, right?
Without it, he can go out of business.
Well, at one time he wanted to be a doctor, I believe, and he settled for being a cut man. It's almost the same craft.
It is in the 7th round of a championship fight, that's for sure.
Vorapin is starting to go down to the body with his straight left and come back up with a hook, right hook.
Yeah, he's shown more variety in his game than you might have thought was going to be the case in the first couple of rounds.
He's actually doing the boxing, stepping back and boxing.
Vorapin's confidence just soaring, you can see it, as he steps forward and fires 1-2 combinations against a relatively inactive Danny Romero here at the beginning of round 9. Hard right hand over the top by Romero, partially blocked by Vorapin.
Once again, Romero stopping, moving, and allowing this guy to think. Must keep something on Vorapin every round, every second, doing something.
George, the layman fan assumes that the fighter tries to target his opponent's cut and make it worse. Do you think most fighters just go ahead and keep fighting?
Well, one thing about it, once you start to target the cut, then you start getting hit yourself. You got to go as though nothing has happened, unless you're an accurate shot jabber or something.
For most fighters, it's probably better just to keep fighting.
Keep going, because then you open yourself up to be hit. I think that's what happened with Romero. He saw the blood and he started charging after that one spot. Next thing you know, he's bleeding himself.
And he got tagged with a lot of clean shots in the round in which he decided to try to crowd Vorapin. That changed the flow of the fight.
Vorapin is starting to box, counter punch.
And grunt. Every time he throws a big punch now, we hear him grunting here at ringside.
Can a Thai fighter win a decision from Kid Dynamite in Madison Square Garden?
The question answers itself if the fight is close.
3 American judges at ringside.
Romero started to lead with the right hand this time and got accurate. He was able to do some good. Go in with your right hand.
Straight left hand by Vorapin lands on the point of Danny's chin.
Okay.
1 round to go.
I need you to throw a combination.
I want you to throw a combination 1, 2, 3, not only one.
Go forward.
Yeah.
Go forward.
You have
Okay,
to
move
win
forward.
this one.
We have to win this round
You
here.
have to win this one.
We have to win this round here. What did I try?
Okay?
Last round. Put in set, okay.
Yeah. Come on, Lieutenant Chai. You the WBO champion. Come on, man.
Round, first gloves, okay?
Come out hard, Danny. Okay. Vete para la izquierda. Okay. Deep breath. Deep breath. Deep breath. Box, box, box. On your toes, okay? Box, 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 baby. Box, box, box. Box, box, box.
Okay, this is the last round now.
Go ahead, go
Throw a
ahead.
lot of punches, okay? Go ahead.
Through 9 rounds.
All right, gentlemen.
CompuBox numbers show that Ratanakai Vorapin has thrown more power shots and landed more power shots. Pretty close. Danny Romero 118 out of 267. Vorapin 126 out of 315 in what has become a power shot fight. Harold Nuttman, how do you have it coming to this last round?
Very, very close. 5 rounds to 4. 86-85, Danny Romero. Jim, in round 7 and 8, I thought Vorapin just fought too defensively, laid back. I like the effective aggressive Danny Romero, who was coming forward and landing as he did just now. In the 9th round, all of a sudden, Vorapin started to step forward, open up, and let him have it. American judges very, very often love effective aggressive. So it's Romero's aggressiveness against the good, clean punching of Vorapin, like you saw just now.
That was the first punch of the fight that stopped either fighter in his tracks. As straight left by Vorapin.
And there's another left-hand bomb over the top by Vorapin. And the blood again begins to flow from the nose of Danny Romero. Romero says he wants a fight with Tim Austin. Tim Austin is a southpaw puncher. Right now, a southpaw puncher named Ratanakai Vorapin is making it look as though Tim Austin would be a very tough assignment for Danny Romero.
That Vorapin knows exactly how to handle himself in the ring. Well schooled.
Gets away with a low blow. Pete Santiago says, keep him up. Vorapin grins and says, sure I will. Only got a minute and a half to go. Romero seeming to tire more rapidly than his Thai opponent.
He's got a power with that right hand. Whatever he does, really get Vorapin. He just
walked into another straight left.
Caught every time.
And another straight left from Vorapin. Right now, I've got to think the Thai fighter is winning the 10th and making this an even tougher equation for the three scorers at ringside.
Watch the head. And then around. Come on. Box.
I don't imagine Tim Austin is going to lose any sleep over fighting the winner of this fight, if indeed it happens.
I have a feeling he'd like to sign the deal tomorrow.
Well, the best fight he could fight, 118 pounds, would be Mark Johnson. But that may be a difficult fight to make.
Vorapin is acting just like a veteran. Knows exactly what he's doing.
And that will bring it in to the 10 rounds of Danny Romero versus Ratanakai Vorapin. And for Romero, who started so confidently and so well in round one, it became a very rough passage. And there were some questionable tactical moves during the fight. And Vorapin was grinning down the stretch.
Romero went for the okey doke.
Vorapin is acting like he thinks he won. Romero is not acting like he thinks he won.
The 10th round sure was Vorapin.
But we're a long way from Bangkok, ladies and gentlemen. And none of the three judges hail from Asia. So we shall see. Vorapin with a 15-4 edge in connected shots in round 10, according to CompuBox numbers. And there are the straight lefts.
That was the only punch of the fight that buckled either fighter's knees. And later in the round, he put a exclamation point on it. But it's a close enough fight that we shouldn't be stunned that either fighter won.
Danny Romero walks over to try to reassure George Foreman that he thinks he was okay in the fight.
The fight can go either way.
No question.
Either way, even a draw wouldn't be.
Totally unpredictable. Here's how Harold Letterman scored it. Harold, tell us.
Okay, Jim, I thought that obviously Vorapin won the 10th round without question. I thought he needed that round to get a draw. I got it 5 rounds apiece, 95-95.
I agree, totally.
Jimmy Lennon Jr. gathers the scorecards and he's ready. So let's go to Lennon Jr. for the official results.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of action, we go to the scorecard as we have a majority decision. Here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Sid Rubenstein, scores about 95-95, even a draw. Overruled by judges, Julie Letterman scores about 96-94. Ron McNair scores about 97-94 in favor of the winner, Ratanakai Vorapin.
Well, there's your answer. Honest judging.
Well, let's give our props to the judges tonight.
Totally.
Good judging. Good judging.
There was a lady named Julie Letterman who provided one of those honest, straight-up scorecards in favor of the Thai fighter, and more power to her, Harold. She's an outstanding judge.
Oh, yeah. I never disagree with my daughter.
Nor do we. So a victory for Vorapin over Danny Kid Dynamite Romero, and Romero's career continues to drift in the wake of the loss 4 years ago to Johnny Tapia. Final punch stat numbers: Vorapin landing 34 more, throwing 13 fewer as he waited for Romero to come to him, as George so accurately pointed out in the late rounds. And you see the higher connect percentage for Vorapin. Basically, he landed more often and he landed the harder shots, and that was enough to give him the victory.
Romero should think about finding another trainer. And evidently given bad advice this fight.
That's unlikely to happen. He's with his dad. He's always been with his dad, and I think he'll probably stay with his dad right through to the end. But
we have seen some really good little men from Asia in recent months. Pacquiao from the Philippines, who looks like he could be a sensational fighter at 122. And also the featherweight from Korea, whose name escapes me, Jim. Fought on the Roy Jones undercard and gave such a terrific battle.
I'd love to give you the name, but I was in the hospital. Didn't have a chance to see it. Let's go back upstairs to Fran Charles, our host.
All right, Jim, the crowd still filing in here at Madison Square Garden as we get ready.
A record of 32 victories against 8 defeats with 1 draw, 26 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, the challenger, Miguel Maikito Martinez. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the gold trimmed with red and weighing in at 110 3/4 pounds. From Albuquerque, New Mexico, he brings a perfect record of 24-0, 21 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the undefeated flyweight champion of the world, Kid Dinamita Danny Romero.
All right, we are ready for round 1 of what should be a very fast-paced fight between these two. Danny Romero, the first American to win the World Flyweight Championship in more than 60 years, since Midget Walgast was champion back in the 1930s. And here we go into round number 1. Romero in the gold trunks, undefeated in 24 fights. Maikito Martinez, 32-8-1, but he was a guy who, believe it or not, was 4-4 early in his career and then turned things around. And he's been on a real win streak here in the last couple of years. Has fought very well, good boxer, and a good combination puncher, very busy in the ring. Romero, as I mentioned, kind of the complete package with a lot of power, too.
Of course, Danny Romero does possess great skills, a lot of power. But then again, Maikito, he's a great boxer, good champion, and Danny Romero, of course, has to be very careful. But I think Danny Romero is a very strong, young fighter, up-and-coming fighter, and he's going to be a very good champion for many, many years.
Well, while I don't expect Romero to lose this fight, I will say that his strength, the power that he possesses in both arms, can also be a weakness, because he has a tendency to be willing to just throw wildly sometimes while taking a punch here and there. And if you face somebody that also has power, that can be very dangerous.
He won the title against Francisco Tejedor back in April. It was a very interesting bout on the George Foreman, Axel Schultz undercard. Romero that night becoming the first American flyweight champion, as I mentioned, in 63 years. In that fight, he fell behind quite significantly in the early going to Tejedor, who is a very good, clever fighter. But Romero, I was really impressed with the way that he stayed patient and realized that he just wasn't going to knock this guy out. And he went out and used his own boxing skills to gradually take control of the fight and won the unanimous decision.
Danny Romero, of course, a great champion, and he was behind on that Tejedor fight, but he came back like a true champion. He used his head, he was very intelligent, and won the fight.
I would guess you would have to know as a fighter just when you can knock somebody out. I mean, even if you think it's going to be in the first round, you still have to pick the spot. It seems that's the way you fought Rafael Ruelas. I mean, you went in there feeling him out, and then obviously clearly in the second round you picked your spot.
Actually, what I try to do is we have our game plan in training camp. We know what we're going to do, and we try to do it, try to utilize our moves in the ring on that actual night in the fight. And that's what I did with Rafael Ruelas. I used my combination, right uppercut, left hook, and knocked him out. And this is what Danny Romero should do right now. He's picking his shots pretty good, using his jabs, and I believe Danny Romero can knock him out whenever he wants.
Makito's had managed to land a couple of good combinations. And one